Headlines most affecting Abbotsford this week. Patricia Ross is the new chair for the FVRD. Recycling glass just became a lot easier. Canadian Pacific shutting down a popular trail, and the annual Tsumura Basketball Invitational will include Abbotsford high school teams. Alex will have more in sports. Our guest this week includes Rob Begg, a local connection to the upcoming AC/DC Vancouver concert. All right, Abbotsford, let's get started. During the Fraser Valley Regional District inaugural Board of Directors meeting back on November the 2nd, the board elected the chairs and the vice chairs for the upcoming year. City of Abbotsford Councillor Patricia Ross has been elected as the board chair after serving as vice chair from 2012 to 2024 and previously board chair in 2009, 2010, and 2011. City of Chilliwack Councillor Chris Clute has been elected for the first time as the FVRD Board Vice Chair. Now, there's no change to the Fraser Valley Regional Hospital District Board, as the chair and acting chair were acclimated. District of Kent Mayor Sylvia Pranger remains the chair, and City of Mission Mayor Paul Horn is the acting chair. Now, the outgoing chair, Jason Lum of Chilliwack, has stepped aside after 8 years, feeling it was simply time to move along, although he will remain on the board as a city councillor. An update on the expansion of the Abbotsford Police Headquarters. The original building was built in 1987 when it was then the Matsqui Police Department, and they just had 174 officers, and that served a population of about 58,000. All staff training and lab facilities will be under one roof when construction is complete. The city did not provide a completion date. Every year in late November, as the November rain falls, we thank you, Guns N' Roses, for that song, city crews put up Christmas lights, and they're festive and they're pretty, but city crews also have to do this in the dark, cold weather, stringing up all those lights. Aletta Vanderhayden with the City of Abbotsford telling abbyTV this year the city has put up over 130,000 individual LEDs. They make up 155 light displays and everything from poinsettias and bells, trees and stars and snowflakes, and 44 multi-decoration light displays. That includes those big multiple snowflakes. The City of Abbotsford is also supporting the Downtown Business Association with power for all of their light installations. Canadian Pacific and Kansas City Southern Railway advising the FVRD and the City of Abbotsford of the requirement to comply with Transport Canada's grade crossing regulations by the end of November of this past year. Well, the at-grade crossing at the Matsqui Trail Regional Park in Abbotsford on the dike northeast of Mission Bridge, well, it doesn't meet Transport Canada regulations, so it's now closed. This is the at-grade crossing. It's permanent, effective immediately. The FVRD has published a map of other ways to safely cross the tracks. UFE researcher Louisa Giles always feels unsettled when wildfire smoke starts to drift into the valley. She knows that the sun turns red, the blue sky turns gray, and she'll be spending a lot of time indoors. Quote, when I'm stuck inside, my motivation is, well, for anything, especially physical activity, plummets. And during these times, seeing news reports about wildfire smoke makes me feel anxious. So there's a recent study that Giles led confirming that she's not alone with this. The assistant professor of kinesiology provided a detailed questionnaire to participants assessing the physical activity and the mental well-being during and after periods of wildfire smoke. You can Google UFE today to read more about this study. Salvation Army Christmas kettles have hit the streets. The food bank is in dire need of not just foodstuffs, but clothing and toiletry as well. Kettle locations can be found through their social media. Now, you can make cash donations as well as using a square. And with the postal disruption, it is best to hold off sending a check through the mail and simply make a direct donation. Operation Red Nose is back starting this weekend. Take advantage of the safe, reliable ride service to make sure that you get home responsibly after the holiday celebrations. With one quick call, a team of friendly volunteers drive you and your vehicle home, helping to prevent impaired driving incidents. Check social media for contact information. City of Abbotsford is going to be adding glass to curbside waste programs. That starts the middle of next year. The new initiative will make it easier for households to recycle glass by allowing empty glass jars and bottles to be placed curbside in a separate bin along other recyclables. So the program is expected to start hopefully by the spring. AC/DC is returning to Vancouver in April. They made their comeback LP, The Razor's Edge, in Vancouver. And Fraser Valley-born Rob Begg, a musician in his own right, was actually there during the recording process. We'll have a chat with Rob about his career and, of course, about working with AC/DC in just a moment. So coming up, our interview with Rob, and then the annual Tsumura Basketball Invitational with Abbotsford High School teams. Alex will have more on that in sports. This week continues with somebody who started off in Chilliwack, went to Vancouver, went to LA. You're back in the Valley, Rob Begg. Rob, you've been in the music industry about as long as I was in radio, so
long time.
Yeah, long.
And by the way, this guy's amazing. Don, thank you for having me on your show.
You're welcome. So you're a Chilliwack secondary school student. How did you end up in the music industry?
Well, most people that know me know that real briefly, that even in grade 11 and 12, I was walking around with a guitar around me everywhere I went. Yeah. And I wore black, and I kind of had a vision where I was going to go. I didn't fit in school very well. I couldn't get girls like
Yeah.
Hey, girls.
Those of us in the arts, yeah, we know.
So I love music, and so I would sit in my room and I would collect records and I would play in weekend bands and stuff. And for me, it was a good fit. I was good. I was good fitting into that industry, like you are with radio.
Oh, thank you. But you got into the music business as an engineer and such. And one of the reasons we wanted to touch base with Rob was AC/DC announced that they're coming back to Vancouver in 2025. And it came up in conversation that you worked, was it the Razor's Edge?
Yeah, the Razor's Edge.
You worked on that one.
Yeah. Bob Brooks, who my friend Delwyn Brooks, it's his father, owned the facility. So we were around there all the time. So we were all just like helping out, and Fraser, I had worked with Fraser. Like Mike Fraser had done my demos with my band's Matrix. So and Keith Scott had produced those. And so I met Mike when he was the janitor at Little Mountain, basically. He was janitoring, sleeping on the couch, and doing assistant engineering.
That sounds like Chris Christopherson's
yeah, it's
story.
like that. So everybody starts that way. It's anybody else out there, it's like, you know what, all the young guys out there, it's all about just working hard and finding where you fit in, and then you got to move forward. Like this thing, Don, you have to move forward. A lot of guys stay in this town. You got to take a chance, and you got to move to a place like Vancouver. And then you got to jump to a place like Los Angeles. You have to open your opportunities up. I just believe that you go stale in one place because you need the right people in the industry to see you. Yeah, even though you are talented.
And what was it like to work with AC/DC? Because I've always heard great stories that these guys are so professional, very businesslike. All the drunken debauchery from other bands, that wasn't the case with those guys.
No, they were really, and by that time they had replaced their drummer, and so a new drummer came in from Manfred Mann, and he was great. Was
that Chris Slade?
It was Chris Slade.
Chris Slade, yeah.
He knows his stuff. Yeah, Chris Slade came in, and I'm not going to name names who came out because that's just unfair. But they had problems with drugs and stuff, and there was arguments going on, and Malcolm was the leader of that band, and he's quiet and great, but they made a decision to go a different route, and it worked great for them for a while. So as people, they were really hardworking. Like those guys bust their butt and worked really hard, and they played hard too. Like there was nights when there used to be a nightclub called the Metro and Outlaws in Vancouver, and so we after the gigs or after all the recording sessions, everybody would go down there, and they were playing with all the local bands.
Cool. Yeah,
it was really cool. It wouldn't be unusual for one of them to jump up and play with the local band and just become part of the community because they were there. They were there for 8 months at a time.
When you mentioned community, and when producer Bruce Fairbairn passed away, one of the guys was it both Malcolm and Angus that showed up for the funeral in Vancouver, and Bon Jovi, and
everybody
Aerosmith.
did. Yeah, and because Fairbairn was such a mentor. If you ever met him, he was a quiet soul but he was so pro, and a lot of these guys, they were running rampant, and Bruce was able to bring them in and really get them in focused. He would take them into York Theater. Nobody knows it, but he would take them into York Theater a month before any kind of record was made, and he would go through all the songs, and everything was in place, so they couldn't run wild in the studio. Yeah. They were focused.
Unbelievable. When it comes to your career, you've been down in L.A. a gazillion times. Who's some of the other bands you worked with? Was it with Tom Petty?
I worked with Tom Petty. I used to work with the Knack all the time. I filled in for the Knack on a Southern California tour.
Really?
One of the guys got sick, the bass player, so I went in and I toured and did a lot of Southern California. So I did My Sharona and I did, Good Girls Don't and all. It was a lot of fun to do that. And they were killer guys. Really enjoyed my time. I knew Howie from Tom Petty really well. I want to tell this story because it's a good story.
Yeah.
Howie and I we used to fill in, and Del Shannon used to play in a place in the Valley, the Holiday Inn.
Oh, yeah. Tom was a big fan,
Yeah, and Tom was, but he was just like an old guy that was kind of winding down his career, making a few extra bucks. He had some gambling debts and he lost it. So we were all playing. Dell would grab a bunch of bass players. I knew Howie off the street because when I got to LA, I went to BIT, which is a music school. And Howie, I met through a friend of mine. He said, got to meet my friend Howie. He's the coolest guy. He was not in Tom Petty at that time. He was just a guy. So we all filled in, and we would sub, me and you subbing.
Yeah.
Hey, Don, I can't do this week.
Right.
I'll do it somewhere else. So I would sub a lot for Howie in different bar bands and things around California. That particular day, I didn't get that job. Howie was gigging, and what happened was Tom Petty was about to go on a massive tour, a worldwide tour. It's just after Down to Torpedoes, and the bass player decided he's had enough. They had a big outing and he had enough, so he quit right in the middle of it while they were at SIR, which was a big rehearsal studio where you go in and they set the whole thing up.
Yeah.
He needed a bass player. He went to the Valley. Del Shannon's playing. Howie's playing bass. Said to Howie, listen, you could take one of my kids. Well, I wasn't there to be one of the kids. Howie got that. So Howie went over to Tom's the next day and rehearsed it, and Tom said, yeah, I got no time. He'll be fine, even if we decide to hold him for 6 months and then come back and get our permanent bass player is fine. So anyway, he got the gig, and Howie and I were best friends. So and I'm so sad that I don't know how he got into the drug thing and went from there, but I miss him, really bad. He was a good friend of mine.
And one other band that I know you've worked with is Anita Bowie with Syl Thompson, and because you were here a few years back. So, Syl, could you bring the show back to the Chilliwack Cultural Center? This has all been set up for
I'm wearing the shirt, by the way.
You're wearing? You got it?
Because I wore it on just for you.
Oh my gosh, I love it.
Sorry, son, I'm getting it.
Welcome to live television. Yeah. There you go.
There it is.
Rob,
we love you.
Rob, as always, thank you.
Don, you're the best. People got to watch Don.
Thank you. Appreciate it. You're watching This Week.
Hey Abbotsford, here are your sports. Starting with congratulations to Abbotsford's Robert Bateman Timberwolves, who won the Junior AA Football Provincial title last week at BC Place. The Black Press reports that they captured the Junior Football Provincial crown for the first time in school history with a 50-8 dismantling of Nanaimo John Barsby Bulldogs. It was the first time Bateman had ever advanced to a junior provincial title game after being eliminated in the semifinal round in 2023, 2022, and 2011. The UFV women's basketball team bounced back to beat the Heat 63-40 last Saturday afternoon in Kelowna for their final game of 2024. The Cascades moved to 6-3, while the Heat are now 3-6. The UFV men's basketball team shot 44% from 3 to defeat the Heat 92-75 Saturday afternoon in Kelowna for their last game of 2024. Dario Lopez came close to his career high with 33 points and 9 rebounds for the Cascades. Cascades basketball teams return in the new year for a pair of home games, January 10th at 6 p.m. for the women's team and 8 p.m. for the men's team versus the UNBC Timberwolves, and January 11th at 3 and 5 p.m. versus the TRU Wolfpack. 64 of the top boys and girls basketball teams from across the province are set to compete at the Langley Event Center over 8 days as part of the 2024 Tsumura Basketball Invitational. The boys team plays December 4th to 7th, while the girls take the court from December 11th to 14th. The Super 16 for the boys include Yale, MEI, Rick Hansen from Abbotsford. All games are live streamed if you Google Langley Event Center. And for the first time ever, the TWU Spartan Foundation surpassed the $1 million mark following their 16th annual Complete Champions Reception, presented by Five Peaks Capital earlier this month. The annual event raises money for the TWU Spartans athletics program and the Complete Champion approach for the university student athletes. Since the event began 16 years ago, more than $6.7 million has been raised for TWU student athletes. More congratulations to Abbotsford's Rugby's U18 girls who claimed the Mainland Championship last weekend with a 29-22 victory over Langley on home soil. And lastly, in hockey news, the Pilots are currently third in their division with a 14-2 record. Next home games at the MSA Arena, 7:30 p.m. puck drop on December 6th against Richmond. And the 5th-ranked Abbotsford Canucks are home for the holidays with 6 straight home games between the 7th to the 21st, hosting the Colorado Eagles on December 7th and 8th at the Abbotsford Center. That's your Abby TV Sports Update. Coming up, Cari with the weather.
Abby TV weekend weather. So, Cari, do we need the sunglasses this weekend?
Thanks, Don. Yes, this week was a beautiful, sunny week. You can thank me. I called for rain, and it was sunny. This weekend, though, we are back to rain again. So 60 to 70% chance and a lot of rain. Hopefully, if you haven't got your Christmas tree yet, you're planning on to go to the barn. Get one in from there. Monday, though, it's going to be nice and sunny again, so you might want to wait for the Christmas tree hunting. Tuesday to Thursday next week, a lot of rain again. We're back to rain, and all this rain means a lot of snow in the mountain passes, so make sure if you are traveling, you have snow tires, as it is the law. Here's a fun fact. Switzerland eats the most chocolate per capita, 22 pounds per year for the average person. If I ate 22 pounds of chocolate, I'd probably weigh 100 pounds more. Have a great week, and back to you, Don.
Thanks, Cari, and thank you for watching. If you have a local news story you'd like us to report on, you can always send us a note to news@chilltv.ca. Thanks for watching. Have yourself a great weekend. I'm Don Lehn.